Welcome to the training session. Here we will teach you the main components of a game-based simulation that you may take part in later in the experiment. Make sure to pay attention to the information we provide you here, as you will be tested on this information once the training is complete. Knowing the information will be critical for helping you perform the tasks in the activity later. Quintet is a game about space travel and exploration. In the game, players get into ships, sometimes with other team members, and complete various tasks. Oftentimes, these tasks involve defending your ship against enemy attacks, attacking enemy ships, and aiding ally ships that may need help. Here's a quick preview of the 4 topics we will cover in this training. These objectives include accessing the game. Participants will be able to locate and join the ship without assistance. Using the main controls. Participants can demonstrate knowledge of main controls and can navigate the main controls screen. Playing the game scenarios. Participants will understand the scenarios of the game and the rules and goals for playing. Knowing the ship stations. Participants know the purpose and abilities of the different stations of the ship and how to effectively play each station. Our overall goal is to go through some basic information that will help you understand the aspects of the game better and to provide you with strategies that will help you perform in the game. The first topic we will cover is accessing the game. Here we will briefly explain how to get into the game. This is important because you'll likely need to do this action several times during the activity. Some of the points you can earn are based on how quickly you can complete and re-enter the game. If you are playing with a team, your entire team needs to quickly re-enter the game once you complete a scenario. When the simulation begins, you will see this screen. It is the main lobby to the game. Any time you are here, you have the option of joining a ship that has already been created. From this main lobby, you will always be looking for the ship named CSU Flyer. You can see that listed here under the ship's name. Once you have located the ship, you need to select an available station. This will determine the role you played during the game. You can switch between unoccupied stations during the game, but will need to coordinate these switches if you are playing with other people. Select a station by clicking Join. After selecting a station, click Next. You will need to enter a password to access the ship. Click into the text box. This can be tricky, so if you're having trouble, try several times in different spots. Then enter the password, CSUX, in all lowercase, and click Join. You have now joined the ship. The second topic area we will cover is using the main controls. Here we will briefly explain what the main screen of the game looks like and how to use the main controls. This can be helpful because the main controls look the same no matter what station you are in, and it can be very helpful to know how to do these basic functions before learning about the individual stations that you might be playing in. Once the game begins, the main controls shown here will look the exact same no matter which station you are in. However, there will be additional controls added around your screen in the areas shown here. The controls that are added will depend on which station you are playing in. The main controls, which we are discussing now, are universal across all stations. We will talk about the specific controls for each station a little bit later in the training. Let's first talk about the different stations on the ship. In the upper left-hand corner, the current station you occupy is listed along with the name of the ship you are in. In this example, you're in the helm station on the ship CSU Flyer. Directly below that is the list of all the stations on the ship. There are 2 stations you won't be able to play during the activity. This is the captain's station, which will be occupied by the researcher conducting this study, and the view screen station, which is a station for passive observers who are not participating in the game. All other stations, that is, the helm, tactical, engineering, and science stations are all available for you to play in the activity if they show up on your screen. If someone is currently occupying a station, their name will appear next to the station name. If you would like to switch to a station, first check to make sure that station is not occupied. You cannot switch to an occupied station. If the station is open, the word None will appear next to it. Click on the Switch button to occupy that station. Remember to coordinate switches with your team members if you are playing with a group. There will always be at least one open station during the game. Next, we will talk about the targeting window shown here. This window is really important because it allows you to identify, organize, and target other ships. This window includes the name of the ship, such as Drone 2, the distance that ship is from your current location, such as 2,734, and a target button that can be used to target that ship. Anytime you want to interact with another ship, enemy, or ally, you must first target that ship. Whether you want to scan them for information or launch an attack on them, you need to target the ship first. Some actions require you to be close enough to that ship before you can perform an action. The fact that ships must be within range for most actions makes the distance reading in this targeting window very important. When you click the Target button next to the ship, a white arrow will appear, pointing in the direction of that ship. When the ship is visible, the words "On screen" will appear. You can change the order you view other ships by clicking the Default, Distance, or Name buttons. This will reorder the ships. We highly recommend that you sort the ships by distance. That way you, and your team members if you're playing with a group, can easily coordinate your interactions with the closest ships first. At the top center of your screen are the different control options for the game. You likely won't need to change any of these, but here's a brief overview. This first button is the View button. Clicking the View button will alternate your view between 3 different viewing options. A third-person view looks like this. A first-person view looks like this. And an aft view, which is the rear behind the ship, looks like this. The next button is the Toggle UI button. Clicking the Toggle UI button will alternate between these 3 views. The first view is bringing up the ship's main controls. The second view is the radar map. And the third view is a no controls view. The next button is the Options button. We ask that you not use this button as the settings for the game are set to a certain parameter. Please do not adjust these settings under any circumstances. The last button is the Controls button. By clicking Controls, you actually pull up a quick reference of the keyboard options. Please feel free to reference these controls anytime as needed. Below the controls, you will see the primary objective of the scenario you are currently playing. In this example, the objective is don't get your ship destroyed, meaning you and your team will need to coordinate efforts to prevent your ship from being destroyed. Below the primary objective, you will see your progress tracker. This displays the number of alien ships remaining. You win the round when the remaining number of alien ships reaches 0. This area also tallies how many enemy kills you have, which you want to be high, and how many times you've died during the scenario. You want this to be low. This is the chat box. You will not need to use this during the game because those who are working in teams have been placed in a conference call, and you'll automatically hear each other as you speak through the headset. The third topic area we will cover is playing the scenarios. Here we will briefly explain the different scenarios you may encounter in the game, and some basic information you will need to know to handle these scenarios. The primary goal of any scenario is to stay alive. The next goal is to destroy enemy ships that you encounter. A final goal you may encounter will be protecting and helping allied ships, either through protecting or assisting them with a task. You, or you and your team, if you're playing with a group, will need to coordinate your efforts against enemy ships. This may involve strategic attacks against enemy ships, repairing your ship, or boosting various functionalities on your ship. It will help to understand a little bit more about the enemy ships and their capabilities. There are 3 types of enemy ships that you may be attacked by in the game. Although all 3 ships look very similar, your target window will identify the type of ship it is. The 3 types of enemy ships are the drones. They're a little tough, but only attack passively. They deal a moderate amount of damage when they attack you. The fighters, they're fast and aggressive. They will attack you quickly, but deal the least amount of damage and are easily destroyed. The cruisers, they deal the most damage. However, they're slower, but they take a lot longer to destroy, and they can easily hide from attacks by cloaking their ship. When a cruiser is cloaked, they can't be attacked, and they can't be targeted. During the game, you may die. However, your ship will respawn after 10 seconds. You want to avoid dying as much as possible because it counts against your points and takes valuable time. However, even if your ship is destroyed in the game, you usually still have an opportunity to rejoin the scenario in progress to try and meet the scenario objectives. Destroying enemies counts towards your points, so try to die as few times as possible and destroy as many enemy ships as possible. Once the specific objective for that scenario is met, the scenario will end and you will need to enter into a new scenario. You'll see this screen showing you a final tally of deaths and destroyed enemy ships. To start the next scenario, you will need to return to the main menu by clicking Menu. From the main menu, find CSU Flyer and click Join next to the open station that you wish to be a part of. Then enter the password, CSUX. You'll notice that this is the same process you used to join the ship initially. The captain will start the game when everyone has joined. Make sure to rejoin the ship as fast as possible. Your ultimate goal is to successfully complete as many scenarios as possible in 30 minutes. The final topic area we will cover is knowing the ship stations. Here we will explain each of the stations you can play in the game, along with the abilities and controls that go along with that station. This is the most important part of the training because it's imperative that you know how to play your station when the game begins. As we mentioned before, there are 4 stations you can play in the game: the helm, the tactical, the engineering, and the science station. Remember, you can switch to other stations during the game if they are unoccupied. We'll go through each station individually. The helm station is primarily responsible for flying the ship. This will include getting to certain locations, dodging obstacles, and getting the ship in position for the other stations to complete their actions. The person at the helm station can drive the ship using either their mouse, the keyboard, or by clicking on the screen. To drive the ship with the mouse, you would steer by moving the mouse, and accelerate by scrolling the mouse up, and decelerate by scrolling the mouse down. To drive the ship with the keyboard, use these keys on the keyboard to control the movements of the ship. You can steer up, down, left, right, or roll left, or roll right. You can use these keys on the keyboard to control the ship's speed. You can decelerate or accelerate. You can also have the ship come to a complete stop. To drive the ship by clicking on the screen, you use the control panel in the bottom right corner. You can adjust the ship's speed by using down and up buttons. You can also click directly on the speed bar. You can control the ship roll with the roll left and roll right buttons. You can also bring the ship to a complete stop by hitting the stop button, or by clicking on the yellow section of the speed bar. You will still need to steer using either the mouse or the keyboard. You can review these controls at any time during the game using the Controls button at the top center of your screen. Make sure to maintain a safe distance from enemy ships when you're driving the ship. Although ramming an enemy ship will damage and potentially destroy them, it will also cause a lot of damage to your ship and may likely destroy your ship as well. Communicate with the engineering and the tactical stations to learn the current status of the hull if you're considering ramming an enemy ship. Otherwise, the helm should maintain a safe distance away from all ships and obstacles. The tactical station controls the weapons on the ship. It's their job to target and destroy enemy ships. This will involve choosing the right weapon and choosing the right time. This station can also calibrate their weapons so the right frequency will penetrate the enemy's shields. The person at the tactical station has two weapons they can use, the beam laser and the torpedoes. The beam laser does only light damage to an enemy ship, but it has a large range, meaning it can be shot from a far distance. It also has a short cooldown, meaning it can be used frequently. The greatest benefit of a beam laser is that it can be calibrated to different frequencies. If the frequency of the beam laser matches the frequency of an enemy's ship's shields, then you'll penetrate their shields. The enemy ship shield's frequency is something the science station can find out. The beam laser can be fired by pressing 1 or the fire button next to the beam laser control panel. There are two torpedoes on the ship. They do heavy damage to enemy ships and have a short range, meaning it can only be used at a close proximity. It also has a longer cooldown time, meaning it can't be used very often. Perhaps the greatest benefit of the torpedoes is that they can be fired in front of the ship by clicking forward or behind the ship by clicking aft. This is valuable if you have an enemy ship that's on your tail. For both weapons, the enemy must be targeted and within range. Also, the front of the ship must be lined up with the targeted enemy ship in order to hit them. The control panels will tell you outside of range or outside of view if either of these are issues. The tactical station will want to coordinate with the helm to let them know which enemy they are targeting, and ask them to line up the shot. Pressing the space bar will fire all available weapons at once. The tactical station can also view the status of the ship's shields in the top right of the screen. H indicates the health of the hull, F indicates the front shield, A indicates the aft or back shield, P is for port or left, S is for starboard or right, T is for top, and B is for the bottom shield. Make sure to communicate the status of the shields to engineering so that they can make sure that they're making the repairs accordingly. The tactical station can also view the enemies that are currently targeting your ship. The tactical station is the only station that has information about which enemy ships are currently attacking. They can see which enemy ships are currently attacking by the displayed blinking red asterisk next to that enemy's name in the targeting panel. This is useful for prioritizing which enemy ships to target first and destroy. The engineering station plays a critical role in maintaining the health of the ship. The primary roles of the engineering station are to make repairs to the ship, boost various system functions, disrupt the cloak of nearby enemy ships, and engage the ship in a teleport across a large distance. One of the engineering station's primary roles is making sure that one part of the ship is always being repaired. Only one damaged area can be repaired at a time, so it's important that a repair is always being made. Damage is indicated by a percentage next to each part of the ship in the lower left-hand corner. A lower percentage indicates greater damage. The engineer can make a repair by clicking on the repair button next to that part of the ship. As the repairs are being made, that percentage will slowly increase, and then it will stop at 100%. If a repair is being made while the ship is under attack, the percentage may not increase, but the repair may prevent that part of the ship from taking on more damage. The engineer must stay vigilant by watching and switching repairs as the damage of certain parts of the ship become more urgent. When the percentage of a certain part of the ship becomes too low, it stops functioning. When the hull drops down to 0, the ship is destroyed, and 1 is added to the death tally. If the hull is taking on major damage, the engineering station should communicate to the helm that they need to retreat so that repairs can be made. A second role the engineering can do is boost different systems on the ship. One boost is allowed for each colored column. The yellow column boosts increases in power, such as extending the thrust or the range of a system. The red column boosts increases strength of a system, such as increasing the damage done by a weapon. The blue column boosts increase in the support systems of the ship, such as reducing a cooldown time or recharging the time of a system. It is critical that these boosts be changed based on the current needs of the ship. In working with a group, it is important to communicate with the team members to determine what boosts are needed at what time. It is better to boost things that are being used. For example, if trying to keep a distance from enemy ships, then boost the range of weapons and have the helm station maintain a great distance from enemy ships. However, if trying to destroy other ships quickly, alternate boosts on the beam laser and the torpedoes, communicating with the tactical station what is boosted at each time. Boost effects are immediate, with no cooldown, but limited to 1 of each color. Discuss with your teammates what boosts are needed when. The third role of the engineering station is to disrupt an enemy's cloak. This can be critical during the time of battle because cloaked enemies cannot be targeted. If the enemy ship is within weapons range, then the engineer can activate the Disrupt Cloak system. This will uncloak all cloaked ships within range. It is important for the engineer to pay attention to when current ships that are being targeted become cloaked. That way they can quickly disrupt the cloak. Disrupting the cloak takes a cooldown time of 45 seconds, so make sure to use it strategically by checking with the tactical station first to see if the target is within range. The final role of the engineering station is to engage the teleport, which allows the ship to travel a great distance in a short amount of time. Sometimes this is to run away from an enemy ship when you are taking on too much damage. Or this could be to get closer to a ship that you wish to target. At other times, you will want to come to the aid of an ally ship quickly. The engineer is the only station that can teleport. The engineer has the option of traveling a distance of either 2,500 or 5,000. The distance increases when the teleport is boosted. It is important that before the engineer teleports that they understand how far they need to travel and that they wait for the helm station to line up the ship in the direction they want to go. If an obstacle is in the way, the teleport may destroy the ship. The teleport takes 3 seconds to activate after hitting jump and 45 seconds to cool down.
The Science Station is the final station we will discuss as part of this training. The Science Station plays a critical role in both supporting attacks and weakening the defenses of enemy ships. The Science Station has 5 primary roles, which includes managing the ship's shields, draining enemy shields, using the tractor beam, hacking enemy systems, and scanning other ships. The first role of the Science Station is managing the ship's shields. The Science Station can modulate the ship's shields so that enemy attacks are less effective. By switching the modulation often, you lessen the damage that enemy ships can inflict upon your ship. You can also monitor and focus the ship's shields based on where the ship is being attacked. By clicking Focus, you can better protect a part of the ship that is taking the most damage. only one part of the ship can be protected at a time. This station can also drain the shields of an enemy ship or send their own shields to help protect an allied ship. The third role of the science station is using the tractor beam. The science station can use this tractor beam to pull an enemy closer who's maybe trying to escape, or to push an enemy further away, maybe when you're trying to escape. If the enemy ship is too close when the tractor beam is activated, it will cause your ship and the enemy ship to collide. This will damage and likely destroy both ships. The fourth role of the science station is to hack enemy ships using the remote interface. When an enemy system is hacked, that system will stop working for a short period of time. If the science station hacks a targeted ship's engines, their ship will not be able to move. If they hack the targeted ship's weapons, that ship won't be able to fire. If the shields of the targeted ship are hacked, then firing on that ship will inflict greater damage because their shields are down. The fifth and final role the scientist plays is probably the most important role. That is, scanning other ships. When in range, the scientist can target and scan enemy ships. Once they have done this, the science station receives a science log posted in the top right corner of their screen. This provides valuable information, such as the health of the ship's hull, the health of the ship's shields, and the frequency of the enemy's ship's shields. It is important to communicate the frequency of an enemy's ship's shields to the tactical station so they can change their weapons to that frequency. This concludes our training for the simulation activity. You may take part in this simulation later today as part of the experiment. We greatly appreciate the time and attention that you paid to this information. Please click the link below. You will automatically be redirected to a short survey followed by a test to measure your knowledge regarding this training information. Please click the link now.